It's my pleasure to introduce this next presenter. Lucas Zawacki is a longtime contributor to BigBlueButton. I think you must be approaching almost 10 years, Lucas. And in that time, Lucas is at MConf, has been involved in many of the core capabilities that have found its way into BigBlueButton. And it's my pleasure to introduce him and let him share some of the capabilities that you can look forward to in the future. Lucas, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to talk here. And yeah, as Fred said, I've been working with MConf for a long time now, working on projects related to BigBlueButton. And over the years, lots of things that we developed were included into the main product. And so what I bring to you today is 4 new features, which are things that we have worked on and have developed in the last few years. And these started as like specific use cases, things that one client or another wanted, and over time they evolved to be of a good quality standard. And we always try to do that if something is we think it has enough quality and is general enough to go into the product, we pitch it to the BigBlueButton project and try to get it into the core, because it goes back to the community, it helps everyone, and it makes our life easier because it's easier for us to maintain. So that's what I'm going to describe today. And actually, I shouldn't take a long time with this. I decided to show you how these features work, and so I'll be showing this on our modified version of BigBlueButton. But these features, we've started working on porting them to BigBlueButton 2.7. So they're, I think, present webcam, the timer, and the reactions, they are mostly complete. They're on different stages of being included into 2.7. And questions, we haven't started porting it yet, but it should be straightforward, and we're working on that. So I'll just show you these features working. I'll explain how what's the idea, how you can use them, and then I'm open to questions. I'll try to leave like a few minutes or 5 minutes or something for questions. So okay. So present webcam. I will share the screen of a server that has this working. Okay, so just let me put the server in English. Let's use dark mode. Pretty cool. Okay, so we have this feature, and the idea is, let's imagine you're a teacher, or it's a conference like the one we're in, and you have a kind of a main stage, or a physical whiteboard, or something that you want to be shown in the center of the conference, like it's a kind of like it's kind of the presentation. So this feature, we call it sharing camera as content. We call it present webcam. It's kind of and then we can just choose one of our webcams. I have a different one here, which is a little more high quality, and then you can just share it. And this is not actually, you're seeing my screen, right? Just let me get some feedback. Yeah. Okay. You can share it as a presentation. So this is not a camera. I can share my other camera here, and so the other camera is actually the camera area. And so the idea would be if I had a whiteboard here or something, or if it was a stage or something. So that's the idea. Pretty simple, but we think it will be very effective to lots of different ways of teaching or presenting or something like that. And also the technical side of this is it kind of works exactly the same as screen sharing. So the bonus is that it will automatically show into recordings as the main content area. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. You cannot whiteboard over it because it works exactly like the screen share. But if somebody wants to work on that, be our guest. So the second feature is the timer, and I'll share my screen once again. So let me just stop sharing the cameras here. Okay, so the idea behind the timer is that if a teacher or actually we use this a lot for our internal meetings. If you want to have an activity that has a set time to happen, or if you want to measure the time for something, you can just start a timer, or here it's called stopwatch, but you can count up like a stopwatch, or you could count down as a timer. You can choose the time here, let's say 1 minute, and then it will just show on the top side here for all the users. I have a second tab to show some stuff, but this won't be needed here. And we can also, I think I forgot to share audio, but let me just share audio really quick here. Actually, it was working. Okay, so you can also have a few songs playing during the while the timer is going. So if you want to have an activity where the students have to be quiet, you can have a kind of an ambient song to go along with that. Yes, so that's the second. Really simple, but really useful. We've been using it a lot, and I'm sure it also has a sound indicator when the timer runs out, but I didn't show you to you guys. I just heard it on my headphones. We have reactions, which once again, I'll share my screen. Reactions, they work similar to the old system we had for I think it was called status. And so we could choose to raise our hand or show that we're away or present from the meeting. And so we kind of extended the system to be able to choose an emoji. So if you're feeling happy, you can just click the happy emoji, and then it will show the emoji in the user list. In BigBlueButton, the interface is going to look a little different, so that's why I included the new design in my slides. But the idea is kind of the same. You just have a new array of expressions that you can use. It will also have the away and the present buttons and the raise hand buttons, but the design is a little different in BigBlueButton. And there's also the ideas to have a little more some different graphical ways that we can show the interactions, so the presenter can get a feeling for what's happening. So maybe we have the idea of showing if lots of people are sending happy emojis, you would see some floating happy emojis or something. But I don't have anything right now to show of this, but this is going to BigBlueButton 2.7 soon. So here on the presentation, I have the actual design that you can see in a 2.7 demo server. It's a little different, but this is a work in progress. And the last feature is the questions feature, which is really kind of simple, but I think we can do a lot with it if we want. So I have this questions button here, and I'm the presenter right now. So actually, I'm going to keep sharing this tab, but I'll join as a viewer. I'll just demote this guy to a viewer. And then the viewer can click on the same button and send questions. And as you can see, I get a question here. This is not on the chat right now. It just goes into separate sidebar. And then the presenter can choose to show the question to the other user, so it will show on the upper side. Can choose to respond to it and respond to it via text. Also delete the question. So if I show the question, it will show up to all the users here, and they can also upvote if they think it's an interesting question. And if we mark it as responding, it will show up in chat like, okay, so this was a question, and the idea would be that you would mark this whenever you got to the question. You're the teacher and you got to the question, you're like, okay, so I'll explain to you how this makes sense, this is the answer. And then it would be you would have a visual indicator on chat that this happened. Also, the other kind of answer is I'm just sending another question here. So yeah, how are you doing? So I can answer it via text. Doing pretty well. And then it will show up in chat with the answer. So this is right now, it's a really simple system, the question system. We use this integrated with some other stuff that we have more specific to our product, but we think that we could take this to the next level if we mix and match this with what BigBlueButton is trying to do. And also, as Arthur said on the chat, these kinds of features, they play really well with hybrid classrooms. So we could imagine a different BigBlueButton interface or something that only has a questions pane or something that the students can send questions, upload questions, and then the teacher would be on a live setting answering the questions or something. So that's mostly it. It's not I don't have a lot of stuff to say besides that, but I'm open to questions, and I'm going to read chat, see if there's more feedback, but that's it. Didn't have a lot to say besides that.
Thanks. That is actually in a very short period of time. You covered 4 features, 3 which I think actually are surfacing now in 2.7. The fourth, the question one, if people poke at it, they won't see that there yet. And I like how you refer to it as this is actually very simple. It does quite a bit. And maybe just tell us, like, the module, the QA module. Is this like the first that you did? Is what you were showing it kind of evolved over time to have all those capabilities?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it was my audio, but which module did you ask about?
Oh, the question.
The questions.
The question and answer module.
So the thing is, we have our own version of I think there's an open project that does the streaming from what's happening inside a meeting. I think it's called something like BigBlueButton streaming. I think there's an open source project to that. And we have our own version of streaming, which is something that we use for users that want to have 1,000 viewers or more, or 500 viewers, 1,000 viewers or something. And instead of putting 500 listen-only users in a room, we just stream it to somewhere. It could be even YouTube or something, or one or a platform, and then the users would just see the meeting, right? But instead of implementing a chat client that would put all these users inside of the room, we thought that a question system would be better, because then we can have the common questions be upvoted. We can have the presenter address just a specific questions, show them. So we created the questions module as something thinking about that, and then in our system it integrates with a streaming system, right? But it's so that we don't have to have a separate chat or something. But we thought this was so interesting that we got this inside the conference, right? Yes, web seminars or something like that. That was the initial use case, but it makes sense, I think, in other contexts. So questions will be scheduled for 2/8. I'm not sure. I think it's a kind of if we have time to part it, but I'm not sure what's the plan on
Yeah.
BigBlueButton
Let's
side.
just say if you're watching this recording, there's probably a good chance that it's either in the protocol way or on its way into it. But the intent is to get it there. And just as I said in there, or as we was talking about the keynote, we're trying not to do really long releases. Shorter is better. And if it doesn't get into a particular release, it can just hop over to the next one.
Yeah, more discernible visible status in this user panel would be helpful. Yeah, I think that's something lots of people ask. Right now, we have the pretty emoji there. I'm not sure if that's enough, but it will be into 7. Who raised the hand?
Oh, the Learning Analytics
Voila.
dashboard will tell you.
Yeah. I'll actually open it, so shows you that I don't use BBB enough. I think the person just lowered their hand. Are these functions meant to be core, or would it make sense to be plugged? If we had done them after the plugin system was ready, I think lots of this stuff could be plugins, but right now they are core components. But they can be turned off via settings and user data flags. We have the what's it called? The exclude the disabled features flag, which you can use to disable all these features or enable them.
Really good. And just expanding, yeah, the plugin architecture, like that's what the other Diego showed in the other presentation, was going to be like a first pass. And as time goes on, you are probably going to see the core of BigBlueButton try to push a little bit more to the plugins, because then it gives us the ability to do things in parallel. And I mean, the good thing is we've been adding specific capabilities like the timer, the QA module to BigBlueButton. And we have a pretty good idea of what like very specific useful capabilities would be. And then over time, it would be, if we can do them as plugins, that's again a sign of maturity in a lot of other open source projects, as they start to have this layer that goes above, and things just happen faster, because it means you could, let's say there was the QA module or the timer module, and it was a plugin, you could add to it, and you wouldn't have to worry about the core. The core would support it. It'll be really interesting to see how far we get down that road, and actually where we would be like next year this time with plugins. Lucas may have 4 more plugins to show next year.
Still open to questions.
The timer module is interesting, and I did notice the audio. I presume did you find like royalty-free audio?
Yeah, we did, and we actually had to be extra careful, but because some stuff is labeled as royalty free, but it will still get flagged on YouTube or something. So we we had people streaming their meetings and using this, and they got their video flagged.
So the audio files there right
What
now still pretty good, or do you think they still might get flagged?
I think they're pretty good, but if you guys, they're customizable, right? So if you guys want to double check or make your own, or just to be safe, it could be done. Franzia has a question. What's the use case that we have for the timer? Usually when we have meetings, for example, we have a big meeting with all the different teams from our company. We'll just have like 5 minutes for each team leader to talk. So we'll just have the timer running at all times, and then whenever someone is done talking, we reset the timer. So it's for example, we could have 25 minutes on the timer here for me to speak, and it's really useful because we don't have to be the ones interrupting. Okay, so the timer just ticked. It's the next person's turn. Yeah, when to come back to class, stuff like that. So I guess teacher activities, you have 5 minutes to do something, then we'll get back, stuff like that.
I've seen teachers who actually find like there's tons of YouTube videos like 5 minute countdown. So they'll play the YouTube video showing the 5 minute countdown.
That's what I was going to say. We used to do that. Yeah, I did originally the YouTube sharing, and lots of people use the YouTube timers. Lots of people use YouTube timers, and some teachers use the YouTube videos as background music as well. So that's why the two features they're included in the timer.
And yes, it's worth just emphasizing the share video capability was done by Lucas as well. And that opened it up to not only YouTube, but Vimeo, PeerTube, and a few others. These are four items that are on deck. Obviously, if you're sitting there listening and would like to see some other capability, like feel free to put in the chat. Obviously, no promises, but all these ones came out of necessity. We needed, or MCOF needed them, and that's why they ended up getting built. And when we do these things, we try to build them in a general way so they could be used maybe in classes, meetings, seminars. So try to do things in a way that can apply to multiple use cases. The virtual class is the core one, but there are other use cases.
Yeah, these are the good the best features to part, because it's stuff that we've been using for a long time and we know it's useful. It's not just a little quirky thing that we use. This is actually getting everyday use.
It was good. Just to another point of comparison, like it's there's a fairly large core team of developers, and core team can't do everything. So last release, a lot of work went into the whiteboard, bring that in, and because that was integrating it, multi-user whiteboard, doing the recordings. And so in parallel, MConf had doing some other capabilities like these. And once the whiteboard all settled down and got into it, now we can look at these other capabilities merging in. So it's a good example of parallel development, but also an example of constantly improving the core, because the better the core is, easier it is to build upon. And that's kind of where the road is leading to plugins. Right. Lucas, thank you for the presentation. That was great.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks, everyone.